Hello, world, and welcome to Post Credits Commentary, a podcast where we make commentary post credits.
I'm Ian.
And I'm Allison.
Join us weekly as we give you our unfiltered opinions and hottest takes on recently watched films.
And spoiler alert, there will be spoilers.
Grab your popcorn, silence your phones, and let's roll the tape.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to this week's episode. This week, we will be talking about the new How to Train Your Dragon live-action remake. The plot for this is pretty much exactly the same as the first movie, but it's about a young, inventive Viking named Hiccup who tries to fit in at his village by finding new ways to kill dragons. His traditions are challenged, though, when he befriends a night fury dragon named Toothless, and he realizes maybe dragons aren't all that bad. What are your initial thoughts, Ian?
So my initial thoughts on this movie, well, first, I feel like I should talk about my initial thoughts of the animated movie.
Okay.
The animated movie, the original, and its other two movies are, in my opinion, the greatest animated trilogy of all time, for now. Spider-Verse could take that mantle. So suffice to say, I really enjoy the original How to Train Your Dragon. It's pretty close to a perfect movie, in my opinion. And so, therefore, this movie that is almost exactly identical in terms of story and characters and music and shot composition is also very good. But the issue I have with it is that it is just so similar to the original. The original exists already, so this movie doesn't do anything special enough to justify its existence. So it's a good movie. It's something, if someone hadn't seen the original, you could take them to see this, and I'm pretty sure they'd thoroughly enjoy it. But for me, the original exists, and I will probably just continue to choose to watch the original animated version over this one if I had to choose again. Do you agree with any of that? What is your take?
Well, I am one of those people that has not seen the original. I do plan to watch it, but wanted to give a different opinion after seeing this remake. I thought it was a good movie. I don't really have anything bad to say about it. The story was a cute story. What I can take away is that it is essentially Game of Thrones for children.
Mm-hmm. In a way.
Yes.
Without all the stuff that makes Game of Thrones Game of Thrones.
Yep, because it's for children.
So, you ready to dive in?
Yeah, let's go.
All right. So the movie opens with a nice establishing shot of the village of Burke, and we open with narration from Hiccup, who in this movie...
Narration.
Your
favorite.
My favorite. Who in this movie is played by Mason Thames, who... I guess we can get into it now, but in my opinion, I actually had no problems with any of the casting going into the movie, but then I watched the movie, and my opinions kind of changed a little bit. I want to be very clear about Mason, because I think Mason does a great job as Hiccup. I think he does a really good job. Like, I bought everything about his performance as Hiccup, except for the fact that he was cast as Hiccup. I think he looks, I'm not saying he is, I think he looks too old to play Hiccup in this film, which, like I said, coming into the movie, I did not have those thoughts at all. But there were certain specific shots where he was like standing next to someone and he just looked so tall compared to them. And yeah, he's got the scrawniness going, but I felt like he should have probably been a little shorter.
As someone that hasn't seen the original, I didn't really have a problem with it. I feel like his acting was well, and like the only real thing is like, yes, he has a very distinguished jawline, which I suppose most high school age kids probably wouldn't have yet. But he didn't act like he was older, so it wasn't a big big thing for me.
Well, as I said, his acting choices, I think, were good. Like, screamed Hiccup. It was just like the initial casting, I feel like might have been a miss. Although that kind of, I don't know. I feel like I have an issue with most of the casting for this movie, but we'll get there.
Not in the way that the mainstream media has an issue.
Yes, correct.
Just to be clear.
Yes.
So we open with Hiccup
Narrating.
He basically just establishes his village, where he's at, why we don't like dragons here.
Which, again, for the sake of the argument, they could have reworked this entire opening scene to completely get rid of the narration. This goes for the original, too. Because the information that we're learning is all stuff that could have been shown rather than tell. And it's frustrating because a lot of it, they are showing it while simultaneously telling us.
Yeah, I do agree with it with the beginning. Like, I don't think it's needed at all. The opening scene, like, you could just tell from everything why they don't like, I guess maybe not, but it goes into it later, like why they don't like dragons.
Yeah, we don't need to know that right there. The movie could open with an establishing shot of Burke and then a dragon coming in and attacking their village, and boom, we're there.
Which is essentially what it does too.
Yeah, except we talk over it.
Yep.
They're attacked by dragon, and Hiccup is kind of told to stay away, but he keeps trying to run out into the...
Yeah, so the whole village is like going out and trying to fight off these dragons because they're being attacked by so many dragons at one time. And you start to realize that the people in this village don't think Hiccup is helpful in fighting dragons, and they keep just telling him to stay out of the way.
Including the chief, which we later find out is his dad, played by Gerard Butler, who voiced him in the original. This is not one of the issues I had with casting. I think Gerard Butler does a fantastic job as Stoic. He and Mason are like my two favorite performances in this movie.
I agree. It was good casting to the point where I kept looking at Gerard Butler, and being like, is that Gerard Butler? And yes, it was Gerard Butler.
If I had a complaint, it would be that casting the original voice actor for the character that he plays is just a little bit distracting, because anytime he talks, you're like, wow, he sounds like the original, but no one else sounds like their original. But that's a minor nitpick. I really like the job he did in this, so I can't complain about it too much. And then we also meet Gobber here, who's the village blacksmith, and Hiccup is his apprentice.
Yeah.
What were you going to say?
I was going to say, since Hiccup's not good at dragons, he is good at making weapons.
Right. So that's when we learn that he kind of makes a dual net launcher that he thinks will help shoot dragons out of the sky. He being Hiccup, not Gobber.
Yes. So while these dragons are fighting, he goes back to get it and bring it out.
And then we're attacked. Then the village is attacked by a rare dragon that no one has ever slain.
They've never even seen it.
A night fury.
He hides under the darkness of night.
Yep. And I like the sound here, too, of him, of the night fury shooting his fire bolts, because it's like, sounds like a weapon, like...
Yeah, it's scary.
Powering up. So good.
And so Hiccup sees it, the night fury, and he's like, oh, this is the perfect chance for me to try out my new net launcher. So he gets his net launcher down to the edge of the village. It's on a cliff looking over the ocean. And he uses the stars to find the night fury in the sky. Because as the night fury flies, obviously it covers up the stars. And he launches his net launcher. That
was a cool shot when you saw the dragon putting out the stars. And he hits him. He hits the dragon. And it kind of falls out of the sky. And in his excitement, Hiccup is attacked by another dragon. So Hiccup is forced to run away, which then forces Stoic to stop fighting the dragon that he's fighting and go help Hiccup, which then allows for the dragon Stoic was originally fighting to break free and cause more chaos around the village.
And they're not happy with Hiccup.
No, they're not happy with Hiccup. And
he didn't stay where he should have.
He didn't follow rules.
Even though he tells them that he hit a Night Fury, they're like, we don't want to hear about it.
Yeah, no one believes him. So then Stoic has Gobber walk Hiccup home, and they have this kind of talk about how it's not Hiccup that Stoic dislikes, it's just everything about him.
In so many words, yes. Yeah, we start to get the vibe that like these are two different people and they have a hard time bonding.
Yes, correct. And then Hiccup sneaks out of the house when Gobber isn't looking and runs into the woods looking for his downed Night Fury, because he thinks that if he can show proof that he's killed a Night Fury, then he'll actually be respected around the village.
Yes. So he does come across the Night Fury. It's kind of laying on the ground in the forest, trapped in a net, not really moving. Hiccup, he goes up to it, and he's excited because he thinks, man, I did it. I've captured this Night Fury. I think he might think he's dead, or at least like super injured at this point. But then Night Fury kind of starts to move a little, and he's like, oh, maybe I have to actually kill this thing.
So he pulls out this knife and he decides that he's going to kill this Night Fury, but as he's hyping himself up to do it, he's closing his eyes, the knight is brandished, and he makes eye contact with the dragon. Decision to have the dragon seem to accept its fate and kind of close its eyes and lay there motionless is I like that decision. But I think it shows to Hiccup that there's something up with this dragon.
Yeah, he's not really fighting.
So he decides to not kill the dragon and free the bond, like free him from the nets. And then the Night Fury attacks him and
well, not really attack. Like,
he pushes him against a rock.
Yeah, as soon as the Night Fury realizes that he's cutting the net off, he is no longer this helpless dragon. He fully swings into fierce mode.
Right. And he pushes Hiccup against a rock, and then he kind of screeches at him, and then runs away. So he chooses not to kill Hiccup.
Yes.
And then Hiccup heads back to the village. So while all this is happening, Stoic is now having a conversation with a bunch of all the Vikings of the village, it would seem. And he seems ready to go out and find and attack the dragon's nest, which is the home of all these dragons. This is a difference from the original here, in that this scene is extended a good bit, and that they kind of talk about how Vikings in this one aren't kind of a race, but like a group of people that come together and take up the Viking name. But there's Vikings from around the world that live in Berk. And they just kind of work to establish that here.
Yeah, almost like there's like different tribes, so to speak, of Vikings that have come together.
Yep. For the common purpose of killing dragons.
Yes.
And then also Stoic and Gobber have a nice little conversation that isn't part of the original, where they kind of just talk about Hiccup and like what Stoic's going to do. And Stoic has the idea that while he's gone, he's going to enroll Hiccup in a dragon fighting class.
Yes, this is kind of a coming-of-age class that all young Vikings get to take one day.
That Gobber will be teaching because Stoic is leaving. And then they they don't head off. Then
Hiccup comes back.
Yep.
And he has kind of decided maybe he isn't fit for killing dragons after his encounter with the Night Fury. And so he kind of is prepared to go and tell his dad that, yeah, you're right, I should just keep out of the way. And be this blacksmith apprentice, and that's my future. But his dad, once he gets back, is all gung-ho now that he's decided that he's going to enroll him in this class, and Hiccup doesn't really get the chance to say he doesn't want to fight dragons.
I love the line where they both are like, oh no, please, you go first. And Hiccup's like, no, you go first. And Stoic's like, I've decided I'm enrolling you in a dragon fighting class. And Hiccup's like, oh man, I should have gone first. So they have a little bit of a fight because Stoic isn't listening to Hiccup, which seems to be a recurring... Seems to heavily imply this is not the first time this has happened. As we already established, the two don't seem to be getting along that well. But at the end of the day, Hiccup loses the argument and he goes to his first class while Stoic goes off with the rest of the Vikings to find the nest.
And so now we have our first day of this dragon fighting class. And we are introduced to the rest of Hiccup's classmates.
We are briefly introduced to them earlier in the opening sequence, but we didn't talk about it. Now is a good time to talk about it. So it's Fishlegs, Snotlout, Roughnut and Toughnut, who are twins, and then Astrid.
Wow.
So out of all of these castings, I think Snotlout is the best. I think he embodies his character the best from the original.
They also kind of expand a little bit on his story a little bit compared to the original, right?
Yes, they do. They introduce his father, who I guess is technically in the original, but they kind of do this thing where Snotlout is yearning for his father's approval, but his father likes to kind of pretend he doesn't exist. So Snotlout then has this air of superiority, like he wants to prove himself, but also in doing so, he's kind of like a know-it-all in a way. But it was kind of cool to see. It was kind of cool to see his arc, which is the exact same thing in the original, but there seems to be more of a reason behind it in this one versus the original, where it just kind of occurs. Fishlegs is like the nerd of the group. I would like to point out that Fishlegs is also blonde in the original, but no one seems to be mad that his hair color was changed to black as well.
My only thing with Fishlegs is I don't necessarily like how they made his body look.
Yeah, he's...
In the original, he's obviously like a very large kid, but like in a very like not realistic way. So like I guess they're trying to make it, how do we make that realistic, which then just kind of made him look like a block.
Yeah, it's probably the most unrealistic looking thing in this real movie.
Yeah, like I feel like that actor is already bigger, so I feel like they could have just left it like that and it would have been fine. Instead he just looks like a little weird.
Yeah, he looks odd. But, I mean, that's basically it for Fishlegs. He doesn't do too much in this movie. There's a few other scenes that he's in, and we'll talk about that. But Roughnut and Toughnut, that are supposed to be twins.
They also have a different hair color.
Look nothing alike in this one. Their hair color was also changed, which made me laugh. I hope it was intentional because I just think
it has to
so
be
funny.
I think it was.
Where they have a scene where they're talking about how their mother can't even tell the two of them apart, but they look nothing alike in this remake.
Like they have the same hair color, but that's about it.
Yep, that's about it. They must have been fraternal twins this time around.
Well, I think the first time they were as well.
Well,
So
they
female
look.
and male.
That's a fair point, but they look.
Yeah.
Look like they could be identical twins. And then Astrid, who I don't have problems with the casting per se. Also changed her hair color. When I heard the backlash about Astrid, I looked at her and I was shocked that this is what the backlash was because
She's white passing.
Yeah. So I thought this was a complete over-exaggeration from everyone in the media.
Yeah.
Or on the internet, I guess I should say. My issue with her comes from the fact that I did not enjoy her acting here at all. I felt like she couldn't act.
Yeah, as someone that that hadn't seen the original one, I didn't really have a huge issue with her acting. Maybe she didn't feel like that big of a character. Like she just was kind of moody and trying to prove herself the whole time. And I think she did that.
I mean, she has 2 more movies to kind of,
Expand.
yeah, make it work, make me believe. Because no matter what people on the internet say, they're not recasting all of these children for the second part. It's not happening. This is the cast that they're going with for the next 2 movies.
Yeah, especially after a movie has done so well.
Right, and that's that. The most important note about Astrid in this one, probably, I hate wording it that way, but Hiccup does have a crush on Astrid. And it just feels like Astrid solely kind of exists in this first movie for the purpose of being Hiccup's love interest.
Yeah, I kind of feel like it's interesting because she represents everything Hiccup wishes he could be.
Including being liked by his dad.
Yes.
And the other thing worth noting about Astrid in this one is that with the inclusion of the scene earlier where they're talking about all the different tribes, like, it doesn't matter what Astrid looks like. She's a Viking. She's a really good Viking. Hiccup's dad loves her. She's focused on her passions and her wants to become chief. And honestly, Hiccup's like, that's totally fine. I don't want to be chief. I don't think I deserve to be chief.
Yeah. And it's quickly established that Astrid is like the top person in the class.
Yeah, she's the front runner for sure.
And we also learned that the twins, this is like their 5th time completing the class.
Yep. And no one seems to be taking the class seriously with the exception of Astrid. Want to say they do a little bit more with Astrid's character in this one too, where they give a little bit of background about where she came from, which is...
Yeah, I was intrigued by this one. I'm hoping they expand on it.
I also hope they do, because it's not a lot. It's just kind of like, she doesn't really have a family.
It's just enough to make you, like, intrigued.
Yeah. So, she says she comes from nothing, right? And like we said, her goal is obviously to become chief one day. So yeah, extremely excited to see what they do with Astrid in the next 2. And then extremely excited to see what Nico can bring to Astrid for the next 2, because she has a bit of a larger part in the next 2 movies. So hopefully she can expand on that role. The classes are not really going well for Hiccup. No. Before actually we jump, we talked about Gobber already, but we should just say he's played by Nick Frost in this one. I feel like he was fine. Gobber's kind of like he's like a comedic relief character in a way.
Yeah.
And I think, like, he was fine.
Yeah.
He did nothing, like, I didn't hate his acting. He was just, he acted, you know?
Yeah. I like.
Yep. So then, class isn't going well for Hiccup, so he kind of returns to the forest looking for the Night Fury. Because in the first class, attacked by that dragon.
I can't remember the name.
Yep, I can't either. But the big fat one with the small wings.
Yes. Who shoots fireballs.
6 of them.
But only 6. Then he has to recharge, I guess.
It's such a ridiculous...
Yeah,
How long?
They don't really explain that part.
5 hours? 24 hours? 3 days?
But I think the dragon, in the first class, the dragon essentially has like one more fireball left him, and he kind of corners Hiccup. And Hiccup, personally has decided he's not killing dragons or anything. So he doesn't really know what to do. So then Gobber has to come to his rescue last minute. And Gobber says something to him along the lines of, the dragon will always go for the kill. And I think that has Hiccup wondering about the Night Fury that he released and why it didn't go for the kill.
So that's why he goes back to the forest looking for the Night Fury, trying to get more information about this specific Night Fury. and why he didn't kill Hiccup when he had the chance. So he stumbles upon this little cove where the Night Fury seems to be trapped in there. He's really struggling to get out, and Hiccup realizes that it's because his net tore off half of his tail fin, so he's missing half of his tail, but just the fin.
Yes, so when he tries to fly, he can't really balance.
Yeah, he's off balance.
And he kind of, the first time he finds the Night Fury here, I think he kind of just observes him a bit, and starts to learn some things about him.
Like how the Night Fury is trying to eat the fish in the cove, but he can't seem to be getting them. So when Hiccup comes back,
he brings him some fish.
And then Hiccup names the dragon Toothless because when he gives Toothless the fish, he doesn't have teeth at first, but then he reveals retractable teeth, so they just kind of like emerge from his mouth to eat the fish.
But
Go ahead.
The name is stuck. He is Toothless.
He is Toothless. And then cute scene here with that fish where Toothless regurgitates it and gives it to Hiccup to eat, and then Hiccup has to eat it. And
it's a little disgusting, though.
It's so gross. It's so gross, especially seeing it in live action. That was rough. I want to know what that fish tasted like.
It was probably something else.
Like, it was probably fake.
But he still definitely had to put it in his mouth.
Yeah. I bet it tasted good.
I don't know.
I bet it was something. I bet it was like cake or something. I bet it was good.
Maybe. But we start to slowly see this type of bond forming between Hiccup and Toothless. Hiccup goes to his dragon classes every day. When he's not at his dragon classes, he's back here with Toothless.
And he's slowly working on a prosthetic fin that he wants to put on Toothless's tail to help him fly. But while he's working on that and he's bonding, he's also learning things from Toothless that allow him to kind of do well in the class.
Yes. Like one time when he visits, he brings Toothless lots of fish, but also an eel. And turns out Toothless is repulsed by the eel. And so Hiccup then takes that to the class. He brings an eel up his sleeve or something. And it turns out all dragons hate eels.
Yep. The dragons are so repulsed that they go the opposite direction of the eel. So he kind of uses the eel to wrangle the dragons. There's another one where Hiccup, I'm going to keep doing that, where Toothless sneezes because of certain flour.
Yeah, like dandelions.
Yep. So then Hiccup takes some of those flowers, throws them at a dragon, helps them sneeze. Being scratched under the neck causes the dragon to just kind of like fall over limp.
Yep, they really like that.
Yep. So he does that. And now he suddenly has become the front runner in the class, kind of pissing Astrid off.
Yeah, Astrid's getting a little suspicious.
The one other thing I want to talk about that I think we're past it at this point, is we do have the iconic scene where Hiccup puts his hand out to...
Yes, so this is like after, I don't think it's in the first time he finds Toothless in the cove, but like maybe the second time.
I think it's the second time.
Probably when he brings a fish.
Yeah, I think it's after the fish scene.
Yes.
I think that kind of sparks...
where he's trying to kind of get closer to Toothless. At first, Toothless isn't really feeling it. He still doesn't know that he can trust Hiccup.
The pan, when we're watching Toothless, set up his bed, he burns the ground and he's laying there, and then the pan over to Hiccup standing there awkwardly was so funny. So good. Sorry, continue.
No. And so Hiccup, it is the iconic scene where he reaches out his hand, but kind of realizes that Toothless doesn't really want him to look at him. So Hiccup looks away and is just fully trusting that this dragon isn't going to kill him. And I almost think that's what Toothless realizes, is that he is giving up trust, and so Toothless leans in and touches his nose to Hiccup's hand.
And we haven't talked about him yet. So Toothless is adorable in this movie.
Yes. This seems to be the year of live action remakes that have a non-realistic creature looking very cute.
I've heard that they really debated about how they were going to make Toothless in live action.
I also heard this. They were considering making him seem like what we consider a dragon to really look like.
But I do think they made the correct call, making his eyes the big, cute, adorable eyes. I think they learned from Disney about how audiences don't really actually want to see realistic animals or creatures, and they'd rather have the cute creatures.
Yeah, I agree. Even as someone that didn't see the first one, like I know what the animated version looks like, and I think they did a phenomenal job.
And then the only other thing is that in this one, a lot of people have said that Toothless tends to act more like a dog as opposed to a cat, which he did in the original. And I rewatched some highlights from the original, and Toothless does growl in the original, so I don't think him growling is something that should be taken into consideration here.
I mean, not even like specifically thinking about the growling. There were so many times where his mannerisms reminded me of my dog. Like just how he would like non-verbally respond to certain things that Hiccup would do. I'm like, I was just thinking of my own dog, and like that's similar things to what she would do.
Yep. And simultaneously, I kept thinking about my cat the whole time. I think I can get behind a lot of the nonverbal things being dog-like, but even the one I just talked about I think dogs do this too, but where Toothless is kind of like making his bed and he burns the ground and he circles it 1,000 times before sitting down. That is something that my cat Axel does every time he lays down. He just gets up and he circles
that's also
before laying down.
Lucy does that as well.
Yeah. So I think it's no big deal if you see a dog or a cat, but I think it's just like it's meant to invoke this pet-like feeling, and we all can root for it.
I think that was the goal, for you to see like their bond is similar to how we bond to our own pets.
Exactly. Then while all this is happening, we cut to this scene of Stoic's fleet.
Yes. They're getting a bit closer to the dragon's nest.
Really cool fog effect as they're just traversing this thick fog. And then they're attacked
by dragons.
All of this that happens here is new. Not all of it. But the dragon attack is new because in the original, there's just a flash of lightning, and then you see a dragon in the fog, and then that's where that cuts. So it was nice to see a little bit of action here. I think just kind of added to the stakes. I think of everything, and just further enforces that these two Vikings and dragons are seemingly at war with one another. So I think it helped with all that.
And so what little is left of their fleet starts to head back to the village.
Yes. So Stoic comes back home, him and the rest of the fleet, and he kind of learns from Gobber that Hiccup is gone. And
yes, but the way he says it comes off in a way that seems like he has died.
Yes, he is dead. And you kind of see Stoic's face a little bit, trying to think about what that means. So I have rewatched this scene in the original as well. And at first, I didn't love this scene in the live action because I thought Stoic could have done Gerard could have done a better job of like showing that he really does actually care about Hiccup.
See, I disagree with that because I thought he did show that.
I think he could have done a better job. I'm not saying he didn't, but I think he could have done a better job. But then in the original, they actually don't do this at all. They really brush over the fact that Hiccup might be dead and already just kind of talk about how he's he's now like the head of the class and all that. So with that being said, I did appreciate that little
that they kind of
touch on it here. I think it's an improvement to the scene. Whether or not I still think it could have been done better is doesn't matter at this point because they did add it to there. So can't be mad about it. But then it's kind of revealed through the conversation that Hiccup isn't dead and he's just the top of the class now.
Yes. Gobber kind of just meant that the Hiccup that was here when you left is no longer the same Hiccup.
Yep. So then Stoic goes back home to talk with Hiccup, and
he kind of seems a little confrontational to Hiccup at first, and is like, so I've heard about you and the dragon. And Hiccup doesn't realize he means his success in the class. He's thinking he's heard about Toothless.
Mm-hmm. This scene is great. I think it's so funny that they kind of like have this sit down, and it's clear neither one of them knows how to talk to each other.
Yeah, it's very awkward, but in a humorous way.
We also missed the craziest scene. We missed Test Drive.
Oh, God.
I don't know how I did that. So we're going to come back to this scene, but before Stoic comes back, the biggest scene that we missed was Hiccup finally makes the prosthetic for Toothless, and they go on a test drive.
Yes. And you start to see that, like, Hiccup thinks he has it all planned out about how he can fly Toothless. He's written down notes, and he's carrying them with him as he's flying. But it's a little tricky.
Mm-hmm.
Not everything always goes to plan.
Right. So this scene, I think, is well done in the original. I do think it's better I think this scene is really well done in the remake.
Yes.
But I do think it's better in the original. The music is a little bit different this time around. It's a little bit longer than the original track, and it has this moment when they're flying and everything's going great, but then Hiccup falls off of Toothless because he loses his notes. He falls off Toothless, and when he falls off, then the prosthetic kind of breaks because it requires Hiccup's foot to be there. So then they're all falling. But in the remake, it's like a slow motion shot of them falling. So the music kind of adds this like little part. But everything else is pretty much the same. The main theme is hit twice in the remake before that fall rather than in the original. It's just done once. And then the last part, I incorrectly have stated to people that there's no key change in the final part. But that's a lie. There is a key change.
Just couldn't hear it as well.
Couldn't hear it as well.
Which could have been the theater.
The theater we were at, I felt like the sound balance wasn't great. I felt like there were a lot of scenes where you could hear like the action sequences more than you could hear the music, which was a little disappointing because I really like the score. But yeah, I mean, this scene, I think it's done well. It didn't make me cry, which I was kind of hoping it would.
It is still quite beautiful, though.
It was quite good. This is kind of the first moment where I realized that they were trying to emulate a lot of the shots from the original too, because it's pretty much a shot-for-shot recreation of this exact scene. The whole movie has been up to this point, but I always argue that animation allows you to do cooler things with shot composition than live action at times. But this movie kind of proved that that's not necessarily true.
Yeah, I'm kind of intrigued because I know they filmed this movie in Northern Ireland. So I'm curious about how much of like the scenic shots were like actual places that they had found that were very similar, or how much they had to do editing for that.
Yeah, that's a good question, one I don't know the answer to. But the moment where Hiccup decides to throw his notes away and just kind of like feel writing, Hiccup, Toothless is one of my favorite parts of the movie.
I agree. He kind of like, I feel like it's another like trust moment where he realizes I just gotta stop trying to make this perfect and just go with the flow.
Yeah, they survive. They're both really excited. Again, I think they show the excitement a lot more in the original. Hiccup like screams, like is cheering, and Toothless shoots fireballs in the original to show he's excited. And in this one, Hiccup screams for like 3 seconds, and then they cut from the shot. So could have used some more celebration probably, because it's like a perfect moment in the film. But I think it was a fine recreation. I think it could have been done better though. So now we can jump back to Stoic and Hiccup's conversation.
They're having this talk, and Stoic is, I guess, trying to express like how proud he is of Hiccup, but Hiccup still knowing that, especially now after he's bonded so well with Toothless, that like he doesn't want to kill dragons. Is there anything more to the conversation?
Well, he gives Hiccup
A Viking helmet.
a Viking helmet made from his mother's chest plate.
I think they call it a breastplate.
Okay.
It's a set from a set. His dad wears the other one.
And at this point, do they know already that Hiccup is the top of the class? Like, he has been chosen?
No, I don't think they know yet.
Okay. So then Stoic attends the last class where Shaman or whoever picks...
Like the village elder.
Yeah. With magic.
Yes.
Not that we ever see them use magic, but... Yeah, so the village elder then decides that Hiccup is top of the class and that he'll do the final part of the ritual to become...
Which is killing a dragon, for real.
Just killing a dragon.
This whole time they've been learning this, they kind of just like get the dragons to submit and go back into their cage. They haven't actually killed one yet. So the reward for being top of the class is that you get to kill a dragon.
Yeah, another interesting moment here where Snotlout's dad is actually like really intrigued to see how Snotlout did, and then shows his disappointment as Snotlout is not chosen as top of the class. So when Hiccup learns there's to kill a dragon, he decides to run away.
Yes.
With Toothless.
Yes. So he is on his way back to the cove where Toothless has been like hiding out this whole time. But just as he reaches the cove, surprise, there's Astrid.
Still drives me insane that she's just sitting in this cove that no one else should know about, but it's fine. And how she didn't see Toothless up to that point, I find that very hard to believe.
I mean, Toothless probably could sense her coming, and so he probably like was a little hidden on purpose.
Yeah, I just feel like based on the overhead shot of the cove that we saw earlier in the film, there's not a lot of places that he could hide here.
That's fair. It's totally fair.
It's a bit of movie magic. But Astrid kind of gets on him because...
She was supposed to be head of the class.
Right, and she wants Hiccup to admit that he's doing something to kind of get ahead.
Cheating.
And he agrees. Like, he says yes. So this kind of like anchors her more because he cheated to get to top of the class. But their argument is interrupted as Toothless emerges.
And immediately Astrid is like, oh my gosh, this is a night fury. And like she's scared.
Yep. She brandishes her weapon.
And Hiccup, of course, is like, no, it's okay.
But Astrid is like, no, it's not. So then she goes to tell the village, to which Toothless and Hiccup kind of basically kidnap her.
Yeah, they basically like pick her up and take her to this little, it's like a cliff, and she's kind of just hanging off of it. And Hiccup's like, if you promise not to tell anybody, then I'll let you go, but we need to talk about this. And she's still very hesitant. She's like, no.
Yeah, Astrid doesn't want to talk to him, And I like the line where Hiccup says, "Okay, then I won't say a word. I'll just show you," which the movie should follow that advice. Ayo. Sorry. Stupid joke.
And he gets her to ride on the back of Toothless with him.
But Toothless is a little mad at her at the moment, so
he's a little salty.
So Toothless's initial flight is not very relaxing.
Yeah, a little rough.
Doing a lot of dives and spins, and Hiccup is trying to
control him,
take control of the situation, but it's not working. But then Astrid apologizes to Toothless, and he immediately pulls up, and the relaxing ride starts.
Yes. And ultimately, during this ride, Toothless kind of starts to take control of where they're going, their destination, and not listening to Hiccup, trying to direct him. And he ends up taking him to the dragon's nest.
Before we jump there, what did you think of the romantic flight sequence?
I mean, I thought it was fine. I don't think it was like super romantic. Like, I feel like they didn't like obviously it starts to, this is like the moment where their relationship kind of starts to flip to where Astrid isn't just like hating Hiccup and thinking he's like useless. She's kind of starting to see, like, really see Hiccup for the first time. So I thought that was fine. Yeah.
Did you like the Northern Lights?
I did like the Northern Lights, but I kind of felt like they looked a little unrealistic.
I think they glowed off of the face as well. I like the lighting technique that they used on the faces. Like, I felt like it looked like they were there among the Northern Lights.
That's true. Just like the Northern Lights in the sky, I was kind of like, that looks a little bit fake to me. But it was very beautiful.
Mm-hmm. And then, yeah, you're right. They end up at the dragon's nest.
Which is ultimately like this mountain, like a giant mountain. And Toothless flies them into it. And you kind of see all these dragons like lining the walls, sort of. And then in the middle, it looks like just like a giant pit with some fog. And you see these dragons like dropping sheep or whatever they've been pillaging into this pit. And we realize there is this like huge dragon in this pit, like 10 times the size of any of the other dragons. And we start to learn that this is why the dragons have been causing such chaos in the villages. They've been basically giving offerings to this giant dragon queen so that she doesn't eat them.
And then Toothless gets them out of there as the queen kind of goes on a bit of a rampage and eats one of her own, and all the dragons start fleeing, and then they end up back in the cove, and Astrid is like, we have to tell the village. We know where it is.
Yeah, she's like, oh my gosh, we actually found it. She's like ready to go right away.
But Hiccup says, nope, we can't. Then they'll come after
Then they'll come after Toothless.
They'll come after Toothless, and I need to protect him. And Astrid says, okay.
Yeah.
And then she basically promises that she'll be there to support him as he tries to kill a dragon tomorrow. Which then we cut to the scene where he has to kill this dragon. Kind of opens with this nice monologue by Stoic, where he's talking about how he used to hide in shame because Hiccup was a failure in his eyes and all that, but now he's proud. He's proud of his boy. So now,
just setting it up because Hiccup knows.
Yeah, everyone knows at this point, the audience and Hiccup alike, that he's not going to kill this dragon. Astrid knows that too. And then, the dragon comes out. It's a monstrous nightmare, one of the
That's one of the more scary.
more scary ones that lights itself on fire. And Hiccup kind of manages to
He starts to use his little tricks that he's picked up with Toothless on how to like tame the dragon, and get it on his side.
and he's mostly successful.
Yeah, he's doing well until Stoic gets upset by this.
Yep. He says that they need to stop the fight, but Hiccup says, no, I need you all to see this. But Stoic gets mad and says, stop the fight, and slams his hammer down on some metal, which
scares the dragon.
Yep. It's well established that the dragons don't respond well to sound in this movie. So then the dragon
Gets very defensive and starts to go after Hiccup.
Yep. Which then causes Stoic to run down into the ring because he has to protect his boy. And the dragon screeches, which then Toothless can hear
From his
cove, and he realizes he has to do something. So it was sad watching Toothless try to crawl out of this cove. But my boy was determined, and he does eventually get out, and he starts just running, because again, he can't fly without Hiccup. He starts running toward the fight ring. Meanwhile, Astrid gets into the ring to try to help save Hiccup as well. And then Stoic comes in and enters, and everyone's fighting because Snotloud's dad holds the gate for him so that he can go in. And then Hiccup shows up.
Toothless shows up.
God, Toothless shows up. We hear that familiar fire breaking sound.
Yeah, he kind of just like slams into the arena. It kind of has like this chain net above it so that the dragons can't escape, but he demolishes that, and he goes after the other dragon.
Yep. And they all there's a dragon fight going on, and the villagers, the Vikings, are realizing that this is a night fury,
and they are shocked and all excited. They want to kill it.
Yep. So when they kind of put the monstrous nightmare back, Hiccup runs over to Toothless, and he's like, Toothless, you gotta go. Like, now's not the time. You can't be here. And then the village starts jumping into the ring with their weapons to try to subdue this monstrous nightmare. And Toothless does actually kind of go after Stoic in this scene. They kind of fight a little bit. And he's like getting ready to like kill Stoic, but Hiccup is like,
no, don't do it.
Don't do it. And he listens, but then Stoic uses that to his advantage. It's just a nasty, heartbreaking scene for all involved.
Yeah, it was very heartbreaking, especially seeing like Toothless knowing that like he's going to be captured, and he could have gotten out of it by killing everybody, but he didn't. He listened to Hiccup.
Mm-hmm. It's also heartbreaking from a Stoic Hiccup perspective, because the way Gerard Butler plays this, like, you can hear the disappointment in his voice as Hiccup's like, no, Dad, he's not going to hurt you. And he's like, you stay right there. We will talk about this later.
Very intense.
Because he's not only upset with Hiccup, he's upset with Astrid now, which is something that Hiccup warned Astrid might happen. If Stoic knew that Astrid was involved with the not hating dragons thing, then Stoic would be double mad, and Astrid said that's a chance I'll have to take, and Stoic is so mad. And then, they managed to capture Toothless, and they lock him away. And then we cut to the scene where Hiccup and Stoic are back in the house, and they have this outstanding argument because
it's also very devastating.
Yeah, it's acted so well between Gerard and Mason here.
Yeah, it's basically Hiccup is trying to express to his dad that he knows why the dragons have been coming after their village, and wants to explain to him that it's this other dragon that's the issue, and that all these smaller dragons don't actually want to cause all this harm. But Stoic is still very mad, and obviously not really listening to Hiccup, but the only thing he does here is that Toothless helped Hiccup find the nest. And so then it's essentially tunnel vision for Stoic. He wants to get to the nest.
Yep. And he's now learned that you need a dragon to get to the dragon's nest, hence why they've been unsuccessful for so long. And he also kind of has this internal realization where in his mind, Hiccup has effectively joined the enemy.
Yes, this was very heartbreaking. He basically disowns Hiccup, says, "You're not my son."
Yeah. Remind me, does the remake, after that scene, does it cut to outside the house where Stoic kind of pauses for a little bit? Or does it just go straight to them getting ready to leave?
I think it just goes straight to them getting ready to leave.
Yeah, that's interesting. Because in the original, after this argument and he disowns him, Stoic leaves the building and then has this moment of pretty much immediate regret.
Oh, no, they don't show that.
Yeah, like he realizes, like, okay, that was probably too far. I shouldn't have said that.
Another thing that I don't know if we have touched on, that I think the live action, from what I've heard, expands on a little bit is the personal reasons why Stoic hates dragons so much. And it is because they took his wife, which is Hiccup's mom, when Hiccup was little.
Yep, they do talk about it a fair bit in the remake. Mostly in this argument right here.
Yes.
Stoic's like, why are you casting my lot with them? If your mother was here, like, she would have been so disappointed, but she's not here because they took her.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, this argument scene to me is just one of the highlights of the movie. I think it's very well acted, very well written. I like how Stoic's like, they've killed thousands of us, or hundreds of us, and Hiccup's like, and we've killed thousands of them. Like, when do we stop?
Yeah. I feel like it is like one of the, maybe the first time that Hiccup is actually like standing up to his dad. But like, it's also in a way where like Hiccup is still defeated. Like, because essentially his dad then takes Toothless on the ships, and they set out again to find the nest.
Despite, once again, Hiccup's pleading with him because they don't know what's there and they aren't ready for what's to come. As is always the case, Stoic does not listen to Hiccup, and they go off to the dragon's nest using Toothless as a compass of sorts. Yeah,
and Toothless also kind of acts like protection for them, because as they get closer to the nest, at the point where before the dragons started to attack the fleet, they aren't attacking this time because Toothless is there.
So then they arrive to the dragon's nest, and they like set up all their war stuff. There's catapults, there's trenches, there's gates.
And they kind of go up towards the entrance of this big mountain, and all of these dragons start to fly out. And then there's nothing, and they're kind of like, oh, is that it? But then they realize what's really been hiding in this giant mountain.
The Red Death.
The Red Death. The Queen Dragon. She starts to emerge.
Yep.
And they're like, oh, God. And they start to retreat. They're like, everybody run back.
This might be a hot take, but I genuinely think this Red Death in the remake is even bigger than the one in the original.
Really?
Yeah, now that I've seen both, it just, I don't know, something about the scale of the Red Death in this one, it just like, it feels so much bigger to me than the animated version. But she's terrifying.
She is very terrifying. But wow, this is happening. Probably before we get to that point. Back at the village, Hiccup, he's feeling real down. He watches as the ships originally left, taking Toothless, and he feels so defeated. And Astrid comes along, sits with him, and they're kind of like talking about it. And not Toothless, oh, you made me do it. Hiccup says maybe he should have just killed Toothless the first time he saw him when he had the chance so they wouldn't be in this situation. And Astrid, who this whole movie is like, yes, kill dragons, was like, no, you weren't weak for not killing him. You were actually very courageous.
Yeah, this is a big moment for Hiccup. I think he finally realizes that someone in his life that he admires
actually sees him
for who he is, right? Like it's a big thing to say that he's not the first dragon that couldn't kill, or he's not the first Viking that couldn't kill a dragon. He's the first Viking that wouldn't kill a dragon. Because in his words, he saw himself in Toothless as he was getting ready to kill him, and he chose to deliver mercy. And Astrid's whole point is that is what makes him special. That's what makes him worthy of belonging with the Vikings. And I like this. Like, I like the moment where he's like, I'm the first Viking that's never killed a dragon. And Astrid is like, but you're the first to ride one.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That's huge.
So shout out to Astrid here. I think she's so well written here. Like, she knows what Hiccup needs. She delivers it well. Because, like, she says, after Hiccup's like, I just saw, like, Toothless was scared. And she's like, I bet Toothless is terrified right now. So what are you going to do? And he's like, something crazy.
Yeah. We cut to where he's rounding up the rest of his classmates, and they're going back into the dragon pit where they've been having their classes. And Hiccup decides, I tamed a dragon once. Let's tame all these other dragons that we've been training with.
When it comes to the remake, I think this would have been a great scene to expand upon. Because
it was very quick. Essentially, you see him basically giving each of the teammates a dragon. And maybe showing like one of them like interacting with them for the first time. And essentially just says, let's get to it. We're in for a long night. And then next thing we know, they're all on dragons, and it's like the next day.
Yep.
I agree. I feel like they could have expanded a little more on like how these dragons are going to bond with their rider.
Montages, since we already had a montage earlier, I'm sure they didn't want to do another montage, because montages can get to be very monotonous. So I guess I get it, but I would have liked to see them training with their dragons. I think that would have been a nice touch.
Yeah, I feel like it also maybe could have added a little bit of comedic relief there. I feel like since Stoic had come back, everything is very serious at this point.
True, it's very
intense.
It's very intense at this point, for sure. But yeah, so Gobber and Stoic kind of, the other Vikings are going around the island trying to like flank the Red Death. I forget exactly what they're trying to do. But Gobber and Stoic stay behind to kind of distract her while they're doing that. And then the the kids show up on their dragons, and Stoic is like, watch what's going on. And then they all, they're fighting. They hatch plans. They're going to use sound to their advantage. Everything they've learned in Dragon Class basically comes back in this battle and trying to help them. Snotlout finally gets this moment.
Yes, and his dad sees this moment.
Yep. Every time Snotlout hit this hammer into this dragon's eye, I cringed.
Yes.
Because I hated that. That was so...
No, I agree.
It was like in the Suicide Squad, the James Gunn movie, when Harley Quinn throws herself into the eye of Starro. And I was like, I don't like that. I don't need this.
Eyes. It's not horror, but like eye horror in general is not nice.
But it is nice for Snotlout to have his little moment, and his dad sees him, and his dad's seemingly quite proud of him at this point. So that's nice. That's a nice conclusion to that little arc that was added to this one. I guess we'll see in the future if they continue to build on that relationship or how they're going to go about that. So during this whole battle, Astrid is with Hiccup on her dragon, and they're looking for Toothless, who earlier the Red Death kind of like blew up all of the ships. So Toothless is on a flaming ship right now. So Hiccup kind of jumps off and tries to save him because he's in all these chains and whatnot.
Yeah, he's locked down to this ship. But the ship's going down.
Yep. So we now have our second adorable CGI monster creature in a remake that is now drowning.
We are underwater.
Yep, so that's crazy. And
Hiccup's trying to free him, but he's obviously struggling.
Yeah, because he's weak.
Well, and then in comes Stoic, who pulls Hiccup out of the water, but then goes back in.
Yep. Him going back in is crazy. It's a Goosebumps moment for me.
Yes.
Like I knew it was going to happen, but I was like, yes.
Yes. He goes back in to free Toothless. And there is like a very touching moment where like he's undoing the straps on Toothless, and Toothless and Stoic make eye contact, and I feel like it's kind of like it's silent. Obviously they're underwater, but like just the gaze is like Stoic saying, "I'm sorry." Like, go save them.
Yep. And we know that Toothless forgives him because he does grab him. He grabs Stoic and pulls him out of the water as Toothless himself flies out. And then Hiccup comes to and gets on him. He's like, we gotta go. Let's take down this queen. But Stoic stops him before he goes. And he finally gives a real apology to Hiccup. He apologizes for everything to both Hiccup and Toothless, and then he specifically tells Hiccup that he is in fact proud to have him as a son.
Yeah, this is a very heartfelt moment.
Yeah, it hits in the original, and I think it hits just as well here too. Like again, I will continue to sing Mason and Gerard's praise here. Like they stole this movie. Like it's crazy, but I believed it.
Yeah,
they were good. And then they go. Toothless and Hiccup, they go to fight. All the other kids on their dragons kind of slowly leave the battle. Snotlout's kind of thrown off the back of the Red Death. Fishlegs' dragon is
knocked
down because of sound. Rough Nuts and Tough Nuts, I think, is also knocked down because of sound. And then Astrid's is kind of compelled to let the Red Death eat it, but Astrid manages to break a couple teeth so that it can get away.
Yes.
But then she falls out of the mouth and is saved by Hiccup and Toothless. All while Test Drive is blasting in the background because it's a great moment to use that song.
But then it's essentially Hiccup and Toothless versus the Red Death. And they kind of coax the Red Death up into the air, very high. They realize that they can. They start to attack her wings, and just like blasting holes through them once they're up high in the air. And then they kind of like, so now she's unable to fly because flapping her wings is just air is going through them. And now she's kind of falling to the ground a bit. But then, one thing we learned earlier is that the dragons can kind of emit this flammable gas from their mouth, some of them. And they see her start to do that. And so then Toothless blasts fire as her mouth is open and essentially lights her up with fire from the inside and basically kills her.
In the original, they do have an entire sequence devoted to Hiccup realizing that dragons are not flammable from the inside. There's like a little annoying dragon crawling around that Toothless gets annoyed with and shoots fire into its mouth.
And it dies?
It doesn't die.
Oh, it just gets hurt?
Yeah, it gets hurt. And Hiccup's like, not so flammable on the inside here. So it's a weird thing to omit here. I think, like you said, this version is just kind of relying on you to understand that green gas is incredibly flammable. So whenever Toothless does it, like it causes a lot of damage. But the Red Death crashes and literally blows up, which is so funny.
And as she is crashing down to the ground, the back of the very end of her tail kind of knocks into Hiccup and Toothless, and Hiccup falls off Toothless and is now plummeting to the ground as well.
And then the last shot you kind of see before the screen goes black is Toothless.
This shot, it hit me in the heart.
The shot's good. Such a good shot.
You see Toothless realizes Hiccup's falling and is panicking, trying to like adjust himself in the midair to like reach him.
Yeah, and it's Hiccup falling and Toothless
like almost
coming down.
Yeah, like they're just barely, you're not sure, are they gonna be able to grab onto each other or not?
And then it goes to black. And then it fades up from black, and you can see Toothless kind of lying in this ash.
Yeah, he's kind of like curled up, and then the Vikings kind of start to gather around them, and Stoic is there, and he automatically, assumes the worst, that his son has died.
So he starts crying over Toothless.
At this point, I don't even know if we know that if Toothless is alive, because he's just kind of laying there.
Yeah, I'm not. You might be right. I'm not sure if. And in this version, Astrid also comes up and kind of puts a hand on Stoic. That does not happen in the original. Stoic does it by himself. But Stoic has this breakdown where he's like He's apologizing for everything. He like clearly blames himself, and then Toothless like opens his eyes. He kind of moves his wing away, and he was able to catch.
Yes, there is Hiccup. At this point, I still Hiccup is not moving.
Yeah, he's not conscious.
He seems like he might be dead. But then Stoic grabs him, realizes that he is still breathing, and so there's some relief there.
And the Vikings are overjoyed.
Yes.
Everyone is cheering. And then Stoic looks at Hiccup. God, Stoic looks at Toothless, and he thanks Toothless for saving his son.
Yep. And then it kind of cuts. And I guess during this cut, obviously they journey back to their village. But then we are in the village, in Hiccup's room, and we see Hiccup. He's lying in bed, but he wakes up for the first time since his big fall.
and Toothless is there.
He's there.
And Hiccup sits up, and he's like, I'm in my room. And then he's like, you're in my room. Because Toothless is just so excited to see him. Toothless is running around destroying the entire building, as one would expect. And he's like, okay. And then he goes to get out of his bed, and that's when they show the shot of his right foot hitting, and then his left
foot, but
it's not a foot.
It's like a prosthetic.
It's a prosthetic, because he lost his left leg during the fall.
Yes. Kind of like the lower half of his left leg.
Yes.
And then we see Toothless. It's very cute, like trying to help him.
This scene is so touching. Like, Hiccup helping Toothless the whole movie get used to his prosthetic and how it's gonna work and supporting him. And then you see Toothless doing the same for Hiccup later.
Yeah.
It's such a great touch to add, as he helps Hiccup like stand and walk to the door.
It was very cute.
Yeah.
And now Hiccup goes to open the door, and as soon as he does, he sees a dragon. And he immediately closes the door, because he's like, oh no.
It kind of, this moment here emulates from the beginning, where he does the exact same thing, opens a door, and he is being attacked by a dragon. So he closes it in a panic. It's like the exact same shot composition and layout and everything, meant to invoke the beginning of the movie. Sorry, continue.
No, you're fine. But then realizes the dragon isn't like blowing down the door, so he kind of opens it again and looks out and realizes that instead of dragons attacking, dragons are just helping. They're getting along with the rest of the village.
They're all working together. Now that they aren't being controlled by that queen, they're working with the Vikings. And so Stoic greets him. Gobber greets him. Gobber reveals he's behind the new leg for Hiccup. And he also reworked Toothless's fin to fit Hiccup's new leg. And even Astrid comes, and Astrid kisses him, which is the moment we've all been waiting for. And everyone's excited for Hiccup to be awake, because everyone now admires him, and everyone realizes that he was correct. And then Toothless wants to fly. So Hiccup gets on him, and all the kids have their dragons, and they're all flying together. And it ends with basically, again, a callback to the narration at the beginning. It's a nice bookend narration ending. Yeah, and a new era begins as they now live in peace.
Wow. It was a very well-rounded, cute story.
Yep, it's a great story.
Yeah, so it was a really good story. There is one thing that I was thinking about. Obviously, once Hiccup realizes that Toothless might not be as bad as he's been taught dragons are his whole life, I am curious about why, in the beginning, he's so, hesitant and, doesn't feel this need to kill dragons like his dad does. Because I just feel like, especially since the dragons took his mom, and essentially what is assumed to have believed, killed her, sacrificed her to the Red Queen, why wouldn't he also be so, enraged by that?
I think he is trying to fight dragons in the beginning, but I think he realizes that he doesn't have the strength that everyone else does, which is why he creates weapons. I genuinely think...
he does feel that way in the beginning?
I think he did... when he shot the Night Fury down, I do think he genuinely was trying to tell people that he did shoot a Night Fury down. But I don't think it's until he meets Toothless for the first time that he realizes that they aren't that bad.
Okay.
That's how I read the scene, but...
Yeah, no. Yeah, that's true. All right. One of the things that I do like about this movie is that they used the original director and the original composer,
Yep.
which I think is genius. And I almost wonder if that, at least in part, plays into the success of this movie compared to other live action remakes.
I'm sure it does, because especially with the director, he obviously cares for the story that he already directed. So it kind of makes sense that he didn't make a ton of changes or a ton of switches. But yeah, like it was a good decision to bring back the original director if they were interested, I think, because when you look over at Disney, I think they're all done by different directors that have a different vision of the story they're trying to tell. But in this one, same director, same vision, hence why everything feels and looks the same.
I am interested, though, because I have seen that he has already said that for the second How to Train Your Dragon remake, there will be some big changes.
Right, which I think is an interesting way to go.
It is interesting after the success of this first one, with it being almost entirely the same, but when I think about it more, I do think that since he has already made these movies, there's got to be a part of him that is hypercritical of himself and wishes there were certain things he would have done differently. So I think that makes sense. I'm curious to see like what the big change is, though.
Yep. As I always say, remakes are the perfect opportunity for you to look at the project that previously came and make changes that you think are needed to better enhance the story. So if the original director, I think it'll be interesting from like an internet perspective or review perspective too. Like if the original director comes back, and does the second movie and makes changes to his original work,
and it's still good, is it because it's the same director, or does it do bad because people just don't like changes?
Yeah, that's something to look out for, I think, actually.
Yeah.
But all good questions. And then when it comes to the composer, John Powell, I think he absolutely cooked with the original soundtrack here. He does what I call kind of thematic composing. It's also called using leitmotifs. But essentially, characters have themes, and he uses those themes throughout the movie. So Hiccup has a theme. It's the first thing you hear in the movie.
Which essentially, for people that aren't big on this type of music, a theme is like a specific melody or sound that becomes associated whenever a specific character is on screen.
Yes, but Hiccup has a theme, and then Toothless has its separate theme. Hiccup's theme is in the movie 31 times, and Toothless's theme is in the movie 28 times. And the reason that I think Test Drive worked so well is because it's a perfect culmination of those two themes mixed into one sort of new melodic melody, which then anytime the two of them work together, Test Drive then is played, hence why I've pointed it out in the final battle when they're flying again. So I personally think that leitmotifs or thematic writing makes for a more iconic soundtrack, and I would say that the How to Train Your Dragon soundtrack is probably the most, if not the most iconic DreamWorks soundtrack, one of the top three. I think you can make the argument that Prince of Egypt is an iconic soundtrack. And then Shrek is iconic for a lot of the
different reasons.
Yeah, different reasons. But I just think he cooked with this score, and he didn't really need to make that many changes to it. I am still in the process of kind of going through, seeing what the differences are between the two. But the first song, sounds very much the same between the two versions, but in the original it's only 4 minutes, and in the remake it's a 7-minute long piece. So I'm not sure if we just fluffed out parts or if there's different, because the next song in the original soundtrack is only 1 minute and 5 seconds. So is that just, are those two combined for the remake? Like, it's hard to tell, but he didn't have to make changes, really. He kept it all pretty much the same. And I mean, it's a great soundtrack.
Yeah, I agree. I don't have anything bad to say about it.
There's one other visual that I want to talk about real quick, because I think we hit a lot of them. There's a tracking shot when Hiccup is riding Toothless in the finale that it's like on the back of Toothless's back, and it's just a shot of Hiccup riding Toothless from behind, but it tracks them through the sky so well. I thought that was such a creative shot that they chose to use there. And it is in the original as well, like that whole setup. But I'm glad that they were able to recreate that so well for the remake. All the visuals here, like all the good stuff, is recreated from the original. So I'm really impressed with how they were able to recreate the visuals from this one compared to the animated original. So
yeah, definitely very impressive.
Yeah. So where do you think this one's gonna stand in the future? What's its legacy gonna be like? What's your standout moments?
Standout moments. Obviously, almost any scene with Toothless was very cute. Anytime he's flying was shot very well. I did really like those scenes. Also, just in general, the whole Viking village aspect of it, that wasn't something like that I was like, I knew it was like Viking related, but I didn't know like how centered on that it was going to be, and I did like that. Just like the creation of this little Viking world was very good. As far as legacy, this is obviously the best, I'm pretty sure, the best live action remake as far as like the world, how they feel about it, which I probably agree with. It's very interesting that it's not a Disney movie to do it. If it were just a standalone movie, I say legacy would be pretty big, but because it's part of a trilogy, I do think how well the next two movies do will determine overall what lasting impact this has.
Mm-hmm. That's true. As I say, like, the original trilogy is one of the best animated trilogies of all time, in my opinion. So the next two, the success of the next two will definitely like change how I view this first one, I think. But for me, in terms of legacy, it is probably one of the best remakes. But as I've stated, my issue with it is just that it doesn't necessarily prove that it needs to exist in the world of Disney, or in the world of remakes, not just Disney remakes.
Yeah. I go back and forth with this idea that it's not needed. Just thinking like maybe it doesn't have to be needed. Maybe it's just wanted.
I don't want it though either.
Yeah, I know, but it's like it's a piece of art, and obviously it's the same director, so like this is a chance for him to want to take his own original artwork and transform it.
Right, but I mean, if there was more transformations, then sure, I would get behind that.
Yeah, but it's still like probably a new challenge for him to take his original story, which was made for animation, and make it realistic.
Mm-hmm. Fine. I just think if they wanted to make money on How to Train Your Dragon,
yes, from
they could have re-released the animated film.
From a marketing standpoint, maybe it's not needed.
Correct.
But from an artistic standpoint, I don't think art has to be needed.
I will continue to just think of it in that way because the original does hold such a place in my heart.
No, I get that. But I think when you start to say things like it's not needed, I think it just opens up a door to like, well, is any Marvel movie ever was it needed? Because we already had the comics.
Yeah, but I don't think that's the same because the Marvel movies make changes well enough that it's not the comics.
That's fair.
This is literally just the animated movie. Part of me feels like that they solely put it out to trademark the new, or to kind of market the new theme park that opened.
Oh, I mean, probably.
Yeah,
It always comes back to the money.
And so again, just re-release the original.
That's fair.
That's what this is.
Yeah.
So, standout moments, though, I think the argument for me, the argument scene is one of the better scenes in this movie. I've said it before, Gerard and Mason were just so good in that theme. And then Hiccup and Toothless meeting for the first time also is a great scene. But yeah, as a big fan, a lot of it did hit me. Seeing it in live action hit, like, it was emotional, but when I look back on it, I'm just...
Yeah.
I won't watch it again. I'll watch the original again, you know?
Yeah, I also won't watch it again. Like, it was a good movie, but it wasn't, like, a great movie for me.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I do find interesting, though, is this summer specifically, so we watched Lilo and Stitch. We've watched this movie. Our next movie that we're going to talk about is Elio. All have some very common themes. I was thinking about it. You know, we kind of have this main character who's initially like a loner. You know, they don't really feel like they're understood, accepted. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and I was just thinking about that, and I think that's intriguing that all these movies came out like within months of each other.
Except two of them didn't.
Which two? Oh, because they're remakes? Well, that's fair.
Yeah, I mean, interesting takeaway. Anything else you want to say before we move on to our final rankings?
Nope.
All right, final rankings. What would you give this one?
I gave this one 4 stars. Overall, it was a solid movie. I don't really have anything bad to say about it.
Great. I also gave this one 4 stars.
Didn't you originally give it a 4.5?
Yep, and then I thought about it more and I gave it a 4. I just, really can't stand that it's the same movie.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good. It's the original. The original exists, though, so I'm just going to go watch that. But I cannot complain about too much in this movie. So it can't be like a bad score. It's just
because it was the original and you did like the original.
Right, exactly. So
if you guys out there, if you watch it, let us know what you thought.
Yeah.
Did you like the original better than this one, or vice versa?
Let us know your thoughts, and we're gonna turn our attention to the MCU for a second. Funny that you talked about that earlier. For those that might not be aware, Marvel's new Disney Plus show, Ironheart, aired earlier this week on Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern.
We got the first 3 episodes.
First 3 episodes dropped. The next 3 episodes are dropping next Tuesday. We figured we'd do a little spoiler-free review of the first 3 episodes of Ironheart. Just our initial thoughts. Nothing too in-depth or crazy. We just wanted to get our thoughts out. What did you think of the first 3 episodes?
So, I remember when the trailer came out for this series, I was definitely intrigued. I didn't really know exactly where it was going, but it looked interesting. I was definitely ready to watch it. Having seen the first 3 episodes, it's not where I thought it was going to go, but again, I didn't know where I thought it was going to go. But overall, I'm into it. Yeah, what are your initial thoughts?
I think it's pretty good. It's not my favorite thing we've done. I personally think it's a little slow. The second episode in particular, I thought was very boring. The first episode I thought was a pretty good introduction to the series. The second episode I thought was really slow and boring. But my favorite of the three is the third episode. I think the third episode kind of establishes that the first two episodes, it just feels like they're not going to the first two episodes aren't going to feel the same as the rest of the series, I think.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I feel like the first two episodes are definitely more like building. It's kind of like reintroducing us to the main character, Riri, and kind of just like putting us into her mindset and like where she's at in life.
I think it's really interesting that how they chose to tell Riri's story in this, because in my opinion, I don't think she's the most likable character, but it's easy to say that because she is basically a criminal for the first three episodes, trying to do the right thing.
Yeah, it's kind of like wants to do the right thing, but will get there by any means necessary, even if it's not a good way.
Yeah. And she casts her lot with these criminals that all kind of feel the same way.
Yes.
I can't exactly remember if she's totally aware of what's going on.
I think she knows it's like shady. Like how she is introduced right off the bat, she kind of, it's like a red flag for her.
So I think it's an interesting take. I don't necessarily agree with it, but again, we have 3 more episodes to see where this goes. I'm worried, like all the Disney Plus shows, that we've set up too much and we're not going to be able to pay it all off by the time
That's
the
fair.
6th episode comes around.
Especially because it's only 6 episodes.
Yep.
There's a lot in it that intrigues me, though. She has this kind of an AI sort of system that she creates that I'm very intrigued by. And I think that in itself adds a lot of emotion to the story.
I agree. That's what they chose to do with that AI is an interesting take. I've seen a lot of people not be a fan of it.
I mean, at first I was kind of confused by it because I didn't know if like it had some like deeper or maybe like almost like sinister aspect to it that maybe even she didn't realize. I thought maybe that might be where it was going to go. But then in the third episode, the last episode, we've seen there is a scene that I really liked. Almost deals with sort of like a PTSD type of situation that I thought they played out so well, and like it touched me. I really liked that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think they're doing cool things with the AI. Another thing I want to touch on is I think the suit in this show looks better than it did in Wakanda Forever. Like, I think it's an upgrade for sure. I really enjoy the way the suit looks in this one.
In the third episode, there was one moment where I didn't like the suit because it looked a little too not lifelike, but like I don't know. It wrapped around her body in a weird way, and I didn't like it. It wasn't like the traditional way like Iron Man's suit goes on. Like I feel like in the first few scenes it's similar to like Iron Man's suit, but in that last scene it was just a little too, I don't know, fluid.
Guess the only other thing we have to talk about is what do you think of our...
Hold up. We got 2 things to talk about.
Oh, okay.
My favorite character, who I instantly fell in love with.
I forgot about him.
How can you forget about him? He's amazing. His name's Joe. I love Joe.
Because he's uninteresting until the 3rd episode.
Well, it's only the 2nd episode he's in, so he gets interesting pretty quick.
No, he's in the 2nd and 3rd episode.
Yes.
Oh, you're saying he's introduced in the 2nd episode? Yeah. Well, as I already stated, I kind of really don't like the 2nd episode. So.
That's fair. There's a lot of comedic relief, especially because I feel like parts of this series are kind of dark, and like they're dark down. But I think Joe adds a lot of comedic relief. I love it.
That's those are the stories I like, though, the dark ones. So
yeah, no, that's
hence why episode 3 is my fave.
Understandably.
Too much. But yeah, Joe's fine. I mean, I'm intrigued to see what they do with him.
Yes, they do reveal something in the third episode about him that I didn't see it coming. And so I'm definitely very intrigued with how they take that.
Yep. It could go some ways because that character has a history in the comics. So I'm just curious to see if this is an example of where it's just the character loosely based on the character in the comics, or if we're
It's going to be exactly similar.
Yep. And then what are your thoughts on Parker?
Parker, aka the Hood.
Yep.
I don't know how I feel about him. I wrote down when we are first introduced in the first episode, I wrote the Hood is kind of weird. Then for the second episode, I wrote still confused by the Hood. And then for our third episode, I wrote mystery of the Hood continues.
I think you're supposed to be confused. I'm sure it will all be explained. If it's not, that's on Marvel. But yes, it's supposed to be confusing now. I think you're just supposed to have a general idea of what he's doing.
Yeah, I feel like it's just kind of like a gray area where I'm not sure, especially in the first 2 episodes maybe, I'm not sure how I'm supposed to feel about him.
Interesting.
How so?
I think it's pretty obvious how you're supposed to feel about him. But, I mean, it goes back to what I said about how I don't like Riri because I think she's a criminal.
Okay, that's fair. But, like, it obviously sets it up as you could tell he's going to be important.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
So, like, I don't know. I don't know. I just don't know. I didn't know. Until episode 3, it's very obvious how you're supposed to feel about him. But I also don't hate Riri. Like, is she, like, the best character? No. But, like, I don't hate her. I don't think she's a bad character.
No, I'm not saying that she is. I'm just saying that she is, to me, written to be unlikable at the moment. It switches with episode 3. I think what they do with her in episode 3 is interesting, and I hope they keep that up as we go into these last 3 episodes.
I think that they will.
Yeah. I mean, they have to. Like, she's not an anti-hero or anything, so to take this, like, great stance it's interesting.
What's the Hood's character's name?
Parker or something.
Parker. Have we been introduced to him before?
Nope.
Never.
Nope.
For some reason, I feel like I remember, like, something. But maybe I'm thinking about a different movie he was in.
He was in Twisters.
Yeah, but he didn't look like he does now. With the hair longer and everything.
I think he looks exactly the same.
Oh, really?
Yep. In fact, I have an issue with the Hood because I think he's acting like the character from Twisters.
Oh, okay.
I'm not a big fan of his acting so far. I think at the end of the 3rd episode, again, it's better.
Yeah, you really start to realize what he's about.
Like, I'm really excited for these last 3 episodes, but I think these first 3 are just okay.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Like, there's nothing bad about them. I wouldn't even say that for me, didn't think they were boring. I like them enough to keep watching.
Yep. I mean, I will also keep watching.
I am very intrigued to see the final 3 episodes, though. Because I have heard some things about what might be happening.
I've also heard things.
Yeah.
So, anything else you want to add?
I don't think so.
Quick closing remarks. If you haven't checked it out, Ironheart, I think at least watch the 3 that are out, make a decision there. But make sure you watch all 3. As you've heard, I wasn't the biggest fan of the first 2, but do think the 3rd kind of turns things around. Go watch it just make your own opinions on it. Don't listen to the internet And don't.
Yes, I fully agree. I would like to say, this series started out with a hate campaign.
Yeah. Before the episodes even came out, it had a 25% on Rotten Tomatoes audience score.
Yes.
That shouldn't be allowed.
To which Rotten Tomatoes has now gone through and filtered out some of those initial ones. And it's now at like a 70 something, I think. So just see it before you judge it.
Yep. So far I wouldn't say it's like one of the best, but there's 3 episodes to go, so we'll see where it goes. But it's definitely not one of the worst either.
Yeah.
So let us know what you think of the first 3 episodes down below. Thanks for joining in to this week's episode of Post Credits Commentary. We'll see you next week.
Bye.